Hi, I just had a rather incredible EMDR session, and I'm feeling all inspired about some of the things that I talked about. And I thought I would come on here and riff a bit about some of the what ifs, because what-iffing is one of my favorite indoor sports, probably it's my second favorite indoor sport. I wanted to elaborate on some of the things that I heard myself say to my therapist. It's interesting how often when I'm talking to someone, whether it's a therapist or I'm doing a coaching session with somebody else, or I'm talking to one of my kids or a friend, and I hear myself say things to them that I need to hear for myself. That happens a lot. So sometimes we often tell other people what we need to hear. So I jumped on the chance to do this. I was already set up for the Zoom EMDR session, and I'm sitting in a different place than I normally sit. I'm not in my wicker throne. I'm on my love seat, but I felt inspired. So despite the fact that I've still got bed hair and I'm dressed in clothing that I'm going to be working out in shortly, here I am. Take me as I am. Speaking of EMDR, I'm really going to put in a plug for it, because if you've never experienced EMDR as a therapy, I think everybody should. It's an incredible modality of healing. I don't have the time and the patience anymore for long, drawn out, months or years in duration talk therapy or cognitive behavioral therapy, where everything stays on the mental level and I get smarter and smarter about what's going on, but it doesn't change anything. It doesn't affect any kind of change at all. So I'm a stickler for those modalities that go to the root, to the source and the origin of whatever the dysfunction, affectation, issue, challenge, trauma, emotional issue, conflict, whatever the thing is that's in the way of living a full and vibrant life. When we get to the source, the root and origin that's underneath the surface of that's in the subconscious, change happens. Everything happens. And it's really cool when you get to what's at the heart of what's wrong. Yeah. So EMDR, putting in a plug for that. And there are a lot of therapists who are doing it. They work with insurance. It's now approved by most viable insurance plans, and it's affordable for a lot of people, even if it's not covered. And yeah, it's really effective. And it's short term. You're not going to do it for months and months. It will be probably just weeks in duration. Yeah. So insurance companies like that. They like the shorter term thing. So enough of the infomercial about EMDR, which I should say stands for, hold on, let me get it. Eye movement desensitization, EMD, eye movement desensitization. Ooh, what's the R stand for? I think I did this before and I blanked out on what the R is. It's not ritual. I can't even think of what the R stands for, but you can look it up for yourself. You can Google it. So something that I discovered in this past week, and no, I'm not going to go into the details at this point, although it may become a necessary public service announcement if this turns into something that needs to be said publicly, in which case I will humiliate myself for the purpose of the well-being of mankind. But meanwhile, I'll just leave it a little mysterious. Regardless, I've been feeling for a long time like something's wrong. Something was not right. And I started getting some physical sensations that were troubling, that were disturbing, that got my attention. And when something gets my attention, I pay attention. And I was originally thinking this was just, not that there's ever a just, psychosomatic issue going on with me. So something that was mental or emotional that was presenting on the physical level. And that's also the case. It's a both and kind of a thing, because the mind-body connection, we can't separate this. We are one entity, and the mind and the heart and the body and the emotions and the thoughts and the physicality, the materiality, all of it is one cohesive unit called the human being. And we've been taught to kind of separate those things out and put them in containers and boxes and keep them separate. And it's not how we work. It's just not. So hold on. I had gum in my mouth and it was getting in the way. The point. What was the point? I know I had a point. Oh yes. Okay. So I've been feeling for a long time like something was wrong. I'm really feeling crappy. So yes, I knew I had vestibular neuritis, which for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a form of vertigo that is not the BPPV. That's the when the crystals become dislodged in your inner ears and you have a temporary sense of imbalance, and you can get them corrected by a chiropractor or anyone else who can help you go through the maneuvers. You can even do it on your own to get the crystals back in place in the inner ear so that you quit getting the false symptoms that you're on a boat moving. When you have a vertigo for several days, much less, many days, much less, almost 2 years in a row, you go through all of those tests. You rule out horses before you look for zebras and before you even start to entertain unicorns. And we ruled out all the big guns. And it turns out I have vestibular neuritis, which is an infection of the inner ear, in my case, the right ear. And the vestibular nerve is so deep within the internal ear, the inner ear, you can't examine it. So they didn't know whether this infection was bacterial or viral or fungal or herpetic. Those are the 4 major reasons for infection in the human body. And we're like a walking petri dish. I mean, we've all got all kinds of stuff all over us. And it all depends on the perfect storm of stress, environmental factors, genetics, predisposition, stuff happening in our lives, and our immune system, whether it happens to be defensive or indefensive toward whatever it is that we're harboring. And we've got MRSA and herpes and all kinds of stuff on us, in us. We've got this biome. We're made up of more I can't even speak. We have miniature little beings filling us more so than we have human cells. There are more, why can I not think of the word? The human biome is made up of all kinds of creatures. There are more of them than there is of us. So that's kind of weird, kind of spooky, kind of gross, but also kind of true. So anyway, back to what I was saying, this vestibular neuritis, this infection of my inner ear, has been diagnosed, but the root cause has been left mysterious. So recently, I discovered that I also have a bacterial infection that was wreaking havoc with me. I was having ovarian pain, and I had out the ultrasound that ruled out any kind of structural or cystic issues. And I apologize if this is TMI, but hey, we're all humans here, so I'm going to talk about real stuff. That was ruled out, and then it was determined that I do have a bacterial infection, and for that, of course, you take an antibiotic. And now I'm wondering, could this vestibular neuritis that I've had for almost 2 years also be connected with this runaway infection that I've had in my body? It could be 2 separate things. And I'm going to find out more tomorrow when I go in for a physical exam. But I'm wondering, has this feeling of something is wrong? Is it possible that it wasn't mental or emotional or psychic, but was actually a physiological thing that my body, my earth suit, was saying something's wrong, and my brain was interpreting, oh, something's wrong with me as a person? I don't know. But I do know that it's very difficult when you feel like crap for a very long time. It is difficult to live your life well, to run a business well, to handle relationships well, to create. Because when everything is focused on the bottom line, the survival level of just keeping the earth suit up and functioning, and it's having a hard time, it's struggling to function at an optimal level, the brain can interpret all of that as something is wrong with me. So it's just all kind of striking me as interesting. Very interesting. So I'm going to be exploring all of that in depth because I want to know the truth. I love the truth. The truth will set you free, but first it's going to irritate the snot out of you. That's also true. That's also truth. Yeah. So I'm thinking more about some of the stuff that I talked about in my EMDR session. And one of the things I was talking about with my therapist is this feeling I carry within me of, well, we can call it the imposter syndrome. Now, I don't know how many of you go through this or how many of you will admit and confess that you go through this, but there are times when I feel like everybody else knows what they're doing, is confident and competent, and I feel like I didn't get the memo. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't feel like an adult most of the time. Like, I'm winging it and everybody else has got this thing down. They're proficient and I'm struggling to figure out how the heck to manage this thing called life in this anti-humane culture that we have all co-created. I compare my insides to everybody else's outsides and I fall short. You ever feel that way? I don't think I'm the only one. I don't think so. And what's interesting to me is if we're all feeling that way, if we're all thinking everybody else knows what they're doing and we don't know what we're doing, or there are areas in which we may feel confident and competent and other areas in which we don't, and it's hard to reconcile those two things. I think we should give ourselves a break. We should give ourselves the same kind of break we give to other people. I mean, I have this gift. I've had it all my life where I can look at another person and I can engage with that other person. I can get to know that other person. And I see through the veneer of that person, the presentation that person gives out. I see all of that. I see the whole package, but I also see way down deep inside who that person really is on a cellular level, not cellular, cellular level. I can see this shiny, beautiful, innocent human who came to embody this earth suit and to inhabit this lifetime. I can see that person. And I'm telling you, people, humans are freaking beautiful. Some even more so than others. You know, we get attracted to each other on the physical level, the emotional level, the mental level, but there's also an attraction on the soul level. And when all of those are working in alignment with each other, when we're attracted to another person on all those levels, not only is that incredibly rare, it's astonishingly powerful. Yeah. Sidebar. Sorry about that. So I see people on a cellular level, and I'm often finding myself, therefore, disappointed or shocked at some of the things that people do. So I can look at a celebrity or a political figure and I can say, I see the beauty of who they are way down deep, but oh my goodness, are they acting out on the wounded level? They're projecting all sorts of unresolved stuff out as a persona of who they are. I guess that's the distinction. I see the soul and I see the persona and I see the whole person. Where was I going with that? Am I going to have to severely edit this particular vlog? God, I had all of these fabulous ideas percolating in me while I was having my EMDR session, and I wanted to get right on here and share them because I was so excited. And I guess that's kind of it, that I'm feeling excited. I mean, if all this time I was thinking there was something emotionally, mentally, developmentally, cellularly, psychically, I don't even know what, wrong with me. And if all this time it was that my body was out of whack because of a who knows how long term of an infection that I was harboring that made it difficult to do everything. If that was my problem, I mean, what if we all have something like that? And I don't mean that all of y'all need to go out and get a prescription of Flagyl, because antibiotics are, I mean, they wreak havoc with the biome. When I'm done with this course, I'm going to go buy the most powerful probiotic on the market, and I'm going to take half of that bottle in one day, and the next day I'm going to take the other half to reestablish the intestinal flora, the biome, so that I can function again, because otherwise, when we're out of balance, it wreaks havoc. We are meant to be in balance, and it's meant to be all of it. So if something's out of balance physically, physiologically, if something is out of balance mentally, if something is out of balance emotionally, if something is out of balance spiritually, sexually, any of the alleles, when we're out of balance, it will show up and life will be harder. And not in that good way. Sorry. Sometimes I stick in inappropriate things on account of who I am as a person. But seriously, when we're out of alignment, when we're out of balance, when the subconscious and the conscious minds are at war with each other, we don't function well, and life isn't fun, and everything is more difficult. I wish there was a way to like put us in the scan that could scan us on every level, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, all of the ways, and say to us, here's what's out of alignment. Here's the solution. You need more exercise. You need more of this nutrient. You need to deal with that infection. You need more fun. You need more orgasms. You need more creative expression. You need more friends. You need more, whatever it is, whatever that thing is that helps to bring the balance. And then, vavoom, everything comes into alignment. What if it's simple? What if there's like one thing? What if it's a belief? What if it's one false belief that you've harbored all of your life? Something like, I don't matter. I'm not good enough. I'm inadequate. I'm not important enough. I'm bad. I'm not lovable. Stuff that you formulated in your child's mind before you had the mental capacity to figure out that it really wasn't all about you, but was about whomever, parent, teacher, authority figure, peers, whoever was outside of you that caused the thing that made you conclude that something's not right with me. See, I think it's both, and I think we have that stuff we need to deal with, the emotional resolution, replacing the lies we believe with truth, and it needs to be done experientially, not just mentally, because that doesn't have the power to change something that's going on the subconscious level. And I think there's also the fact that our bodies can be out of whack, and may we all be granted the wisdom to know what's out of alignment, and then to find the means to discover what it is that needs to be addressed, whether it's in the body or the mind or the emotions or the soul, the beliefs, so that we can get in alignment with our own truth, our own balance, our own homeostasis, and simply live the life we came to live. I know there was more I wanted to say. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, one of my friends sent me a meme from Instagram that talked about softening into the discomfort, whatever the discomfort is, whether it's caused by the body or the mind or the heart or the belief system, softening into that. Just like, so if I can embody it, softening, relaxing into the discomfort. Another way of thinking about that is to lean into the discomfort. So instead of pulling back from it, shrinking back from it, leaning into the discomfort. Both of those, whichever one feels more alive in you, in your body, both of those are the antithesis of resisting the discomfort. Because when we resist whatever is happening, it persists. What we resist persists. It sounds like a trite little rhymey phrase, but there's truth in it. Whatever we resist, we cling to and we force to stay there. Whatever we allow, I mean, just look at the difference in my posture. There's tight resistance, which keeps it there, and there's allowance, which lets it be there until it moves on of its own accord, whatever it is. And it's in that allowance that wisdom can come to show us what the solution is. If we're in resistance, I don't want to feel this way. This shouldn't be happening to me. I don't want this. Make this go away. Whether it's a sensation or a situation or something that's happening in your life that you don't like, you don't have to like it to allow it. Because if it's here, if it's present, if it's happening, the same thing to do is to acknowledge that and to allow whatever is there to be there. And in that allowance, it moves of its own accord. And we're open. And in that openness, we can see the solution to the thing that we can't see when we're like this. So allow, lean in, soften, whatever works for you. And let the thing that you don't like, that you don't want to have be there, that you don't like experiencing, whatever it is, allow it. And the solution is going to arise in that allowance and let you see what you need to see. Take the actions you need to take action on. Be inspired to take inspired actions. It's going to resolve that way. So I guess that's going to be the best way to wrap this up. I got really excited about sharing all of this stuff because I'm feeling better. And it was a simple thing. And I do believe that our solutions to the most complex problems are actually very, very simple. And we don't need to complicate this stuff. I do believe life wants us to live beautiful, purposeful, meaningful, fulfilling lives. So while you're in the state of allowance, also allow the possibility that everything is working in your favor. What if everything you're experiencing is designed by your soul to bring about the growth and the insights that you need for what you have expressed you most want? What if life is happening for you not to you? What if everything you're going through right now, including the things you resist, are working in your favor to prepare you for what you most want? What if every desire you have is the germination of a seed, a gestation of what you most want to give birth to in your own life? And what if it takes what it takes in that germination and that gestation, so that you give birth at the right time, the most perfect, benevolent, optimal time of birthing that thing that wants to come out of you? What if? Dot, dot, dot. I'm going to leave it there. I think I've said all that I wanted to say for now. Bye-bye.